Welcome to Freeze Your Milk Podcast. I'm your host, Bridget, along with my husband, Chris. Podcast where we talk about the comedic side and serious side of parenting, life, and relationships. We are boy parents. We have two boys, Enzo and Rhett, with about a 6-year age gap between the two. You can check out our website, freezeyourmilk.com. Also, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Freeze Your Milk Podcast. Thanks and hope you enjoy. Welcome back.
What's happening, everybody?
Another day, another week.
Another adventure.
Tried to go to the eye doctor today to get new contacts because I haven't been to the eye doctor in a while and I'm out of contacts and my prescription's expired and all that fun stuff. And so of course I coordinate with you, I coordinate around our nanny schedule, your work schedule, so baby's covered. Fucking power goes out at the eye doctor. It's not expected to come back up for 3 hours.
As I'm walking through the place with the baby.
I was like, son of a bitch.
So.
Really? My eye appointment?
Yeah, it just goes to show that nothing really is, it never really works out to the way you think it's gonna.
No.
So what's new? What's going on? What's been happening? We've had a lot of movement, been busy with work, busy with kids. We're adjusting to toddler life, trying to get used to our attitude baby. You've had issues with the newborn, Arlo. He's been ornery because he's trying to work through digestion stuff and just being uncomfortable and irritable.
You have a cold.
I have a cold. I'm on a low-calorie diet, and I'm losing weight, but man, I'm frustrated because I'm hungry all the time. You're, trying to work on other stuff, look at different, maybe career opportunities, and I'm extremely buried with work, and we're just kind of just floating by. I mean, trying to wrangle it all.
I feel like we're kind of distant right now. It's just a season we're in, but it kind of sucks.
Well, part of the issue is the baby is temperamental and still is sleeping with us, but you're not getting a whole lot of sleep, and I've been sick and I snore, so you've moved me to the spare bedroom. So I don't spend time with you in the evenings really at all, because you spend the majority of your evenings in the bedroom with the baby.
Yeah.
And then I'm not going to go sitting there. So I take care of Rhett until bedtime and then put him to bed, and then I get an hour of whatever time, and then I'm off to bed because I'm,
Rhett's been sleeping in at least.
Yeah, he's been doing better. He's just ornery and toddlery and bitches about everything, but...
Mr. Independent.
Yeah, he wants to do it himself, but he doesn't want to do it himself. It's wonderful. But yeah, our relationship has been...
We're in our season of distance with small children.
Yeah, I mean, we try to do stuff together. It's just hard, obviously. We've gotten our nanny to cover a couple dates for us recently, which has been,
That's been
we
really
say
nice.
We say dates. We go grab a quick bite to eat at a healthy restaurant, and then go to Lowe's.
Right. That's an exciting date.
And then we have the baby with us. So
yeah.
I mean, it's kind of just the season we're in right now. I mean, I wish I could give you all the time in the world, but I don't have it. So. And I know you don't have it.
Yeah, I think it's hard because, in the evenings I try to let you have some you time because I know that you've been burnt out with work and Rhett, during the daytime.
Yeah.
And then part of me is but I don't want to give you time because, I want to hang out with you, or, your baby wants to see you, too.
I think it's important that you communicate that. You barely communicated that yesterday, and you got frustrated with me before you even communicated it. So I was like, why would I want to hang out with you like this? This isn't fun.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a little argument that me and you had, but I mean, I think it's important. I think it's important that you kind of make it known. Hey, after Rhett goes to bed, I'd like an hour with you. Which is completely okay with me. I mean, yeah, I am burnt out, but I'd rather hang out with you and be burnt out than be alone and be burnt out, I guess.
Yeah.
At least you listen to me, bitch. I get tired, myself gets tired of listening to me. So.
You bitch to yourself.
I bitch to myself, and myself's like, you're, just shut the fuck up, Anyway.
I text my dad today.
Yeah. That, maybe you should elaborate on that.
So, if you're not aware, go back. We have an episode labeled Why We Cut Up Bridget's Parents. But I don't know, like, we cut out my parents mainly because of my mom. And, like, my dad is part of, like, a package deal with my mom. And so I haven't really talked to him in 3 years. Which is kind of frustrating. Because I miss my dad. I love my dad and I miss him, like, a lot. But, again, they're a package deal, so I haven't really had a chance to... You okay?
Yeah, I mean, we're sitting in the... We try to podcast when we can, and we're sitting in a Costco parking lot in our truck with the baby, and the baby was asleep when we left Costco, but now the baby's awake, so...
Well, you talk loud.
Yeah, yeah, I guess that's true. Anyway, keep going, I'm sorry.
So, he's fine right now. He's chilling. We'll see how long it lasts. So I texted my dad today. It's his 70th birthday. And I figured, I just wanted to text him and say, like, I love you and I miss you. And I hope one day that you and I can have a relationship again. Because it's not... If my parents weren't a package deal, I would have a relationship with my dad. But they're a package deal, so therefore I don't. And that sucks. But I also, like, over the last 3 years, I've done a lot of healing, and I feel like I've done some growth. And I've come to terms with the fact that, like, I can only control what I want on my side. Like, I can't control what they're doing. But if I would want to try to, text my dad occasionally or, communicate a little bit, I can attempt that. And I can choose how much I want to disclose about my life or how much I want to let them in. Just like he can choose if he wants to, respond to it or not.
Yeah.
So...
And that's been kind of a topic of our discussion ever since this all came about with your parents. And again, like I said, that was something that you had to realize, not something that I could show you to realize. I mean, my situation with my parents is similar but different. My lack thereof relationship with my father. I mean, we're just estranged at this point. We don't even. And he made a good point. He texted me the other day out of nowhere. This long novel, just basically breaking down that he doesn't know who I am, and
how'd you feel about that text? What were your thoughts on it?
Honestly, 5 years ago, it probably would have bothered me, but now I'm just like, I don't have any resentment towards him. I don't have any anger. I've moved past a lot of the things in my life with him. Same with my mom, for me, not, for anybody else but me, for my own sanity, for my sobriety, I've had to move on. And, for my dad to come to me now, and it's all good, sure, you can say what you need to say.
Do you feel like it was like a woe is me text?
It's always going to be. He's always been like that.
Yeah. Like kind of like you shared it with me, and I kind of felt like it was here's my, like, what was me and here's my excuses as to why I don't have a relationship with you.
Yeah, he's 77 years old. He lost 2 kids in the last 3 years. He, has been divorced 3 times. He's just gone through the gauntlet, and he had a very terrible upbringing. His mom was a narcissist and very controlling, and she degraded him, embarrassed him, and it's been a tough life for him. And he's fought depression, and he's gone through it, and he is now facing the fact that he's going to be 77 years old, or he is 77 years old, and essentially, aside from living with my sister in her basement, he's alone. And he has no real relationship with me. That got cut off after my sister died. I was in different places with her death and my grieving than he was, and we didn't really see eye to eye on it. We haven't really seen eye to eye on much in our time together. And again, we had talked about that in the past, that we felt like he had always written the book on me, and, obviously I had done some shitty things, and I tried to make amends for him, but we're all human. And again, that's exactly what that text message was. I'm facing mortality now, and My health isn't good. My mind's not good. I'm alone. And this is all stuff that he's chosen. But it was his excuse for not being more involved in my life and my son's lives and your life.
Yeah.
And it's fine. I told him in the text, I said, hey man, you know, again, I'm not mad, I'm not upset, I don't, honestly, I don't give a shit. But I am going to say this. Do you want to be looking down that fucking, you know, looking down that tunnel in whenever you're on that, you know, on your deathbed and look back and be like, man, I really should have made I should have made, you know, had a little bit more effort in establishing a relationship with my son and his family. Like, he has 2 grandsons. Or he has, like, 2 grandsons he doesn't even know. He hasn't even met Arlo.
Yeah.
He hasn't tried to FaceTime with Rhett.
No.
I mean, he just doesn't give, he just doesn't, I don't know if it's that he doesn't care, it's not a priority. And that is okay, you know. I was a priority in his life for a season as I was younger and growing up, and I think he got tired of it, and
I think now it's more that he actively chooses not to get involved or grow attachment to people because of having lost 2 out of 4 kids.
I mean, he's lost a son and he lost a daughter, both within 3 weeks of each other.
Yeah.
Both to, in my opinion, it was mental interest on both occasions. I know one of them was. One of them is speculation, but I think it was. And he always felt like that was his fault, and he could have done more. And no one knows why people do what they do, and the turmoil that they're going through. But I know that none of that shit's his fault, and there's nothing he could have done about it. He doesn't know that. He hasn't come to terms with that.
I think, like, you know, like, as a parent, you know, like, we have our days where we're like, man, I failed my kids today, right?
Yeah,
or like,
tough.
I was a shitty parent today. Like, I was short-fused with, you know, Enzo or Rhett or even Arlo, you know, when he's up for 3 hours in the middle of the night. I'm like, dude, please, just go the fuck to sleep. Like, I'm tired.
Yeah.
You know, like, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
But when, you know, people are distressed, or, you know, if someone, you know, a cousin on my side committed suicide, and years and years and years ago, and people constantly questioned, like, oh, you know, it's their fault, they could have done more, blah, blah, blah. Unless you went back and literally started back from day one of when the child was born and redid their whole life, like, you can't say that you could have done more.
I don't even think if you could wave a wand and do that and put yourself in that position,
you'd still be.
You would still screw up your kids somehow.
Right. Like, we talk about all the time, like, the goal is to, like, get them to 18 with the least amount of therapy needed as possible after that.
And fuck, Enzo hasn't even made it to 9 years old and he's in therapy.
I feel like it is helping, though.
It is absolutely helping. I mean, his attitude has kind of changed. He's starting to realize, hey, I'm not the only one anymore. Mm-hmm. You know? And that's huge, especially on our side of the family, because we have 2 other kids. Yeah. It's not all about him. And then, you know, when his attitude's more positive, we're more willing to do stuff with him. Yeah. But when when he's all down in the dumps and whatever, that's a whole different thing for another day. We'll talk about Enzo on another podcast, and his therapy. But fact of the matter is like, my dad has just sat with so much shame and so much guilt, and it's just eaten at him for 77 years. Yeah. And, well, I mean, you know, 70 years, whatever. But he's just never been able to process. He's never been able to move on. You know, he's lost all these people in his life.
It's like you said, he had a narcissistic mom. He probably never went to therapy for it.
No, absolutely. Therapy was taboo.
Yeah,
back then. Men didn't do therapy.
But if you think about it, like, that causes a lot of, like, generational trauma, which just passes down, and it instills this mindset of, I'm not good enough and I have to, you know, it kind of instills that woe is me mindset, and, like, that, you know, you either desperately seek validation or you throw your hands up and be like, I'm never going to be good enough, I'm never going to be worthy. And I think your dad falls in the camp of throwing his hands up with, he feels like he's never going to be good enough, and he's never worthy, and he's never, and that's transitioned into all the relationships in his life, his marriages, his relationship with his kids, like all of it.
Well, until he can change his self-worth, his self-impression of him, of him and his mentality on himself, and he's never going to clear that, and I don't think I'll ever have a good relationship with him, especially this late in life. Not to say that there's not time to change, because there absolutely is, and he could get the help, get some help if he needed it, but he's also stubborn as a mule, and I don't think he's going to go out and get that help. I mean, he won't even work on his physical health. So, he is biding his time. As much as he says he's just waiting, he's the type of person that says, "Hey, I'll ask him how he's doing." He's just saying, "I'm getting older and I'm waiting to die," and that's all well and good, and it's jokey and it's cynical and all that bullshit. But at the end of the day, I know he's scared of death now as he's gotten older, and I know he's scared of being alone. And I've tried to extend the olive branch and tried to, we flew out there. He introduced him to Rhett, and he sat on the couch on his cell phone and didn't engage with my son. So I guess what, I don't know how much more I can actually do.
Yeah.
But will I always give him a line to my son? Absolutely. Will I protect my son? Absolutely. If he ever wants to FaceTime or call or whatever the case may be, more than happy to oblige, but I am not going to run down this relationship. A
relationship is a two-way street. Like,
me and him are, and I told him this. I said, "Hey, we are similar people, but we are very different people, and we're at different places in our journeys." And I have dealt with him as this depression, as you say, woe is me for my whole life, essentially. I mean, I've been around it forever, and I've adapted some of that. And not the woe is me necessarily, but I get frustrated with myself. I'm hard on myself. I'm very critical of myself, and I don't love myself as much as I should. You're helping me to see that and see my value.
Your self-love.
And, me and you are working on some things with that, and I think everybody kind of struggles in those areas. It's hard, especially when you're raised by somebody that's like that. They don't have any self-worth, so why should I, kind of deal. Or I don't know how to have self-worth because I don't have a good example of it.
It wasn't modeled for you.
It wasn't modeled, so, but we've been working through that, and, I have my moments, and you correct me, and you're like, "Hey, man,
You are amazing.
Yeah, you are amazing. You need to kind of understand.
Give yourself some grace.
You need to understand where the hell you're at and, what you're doing, because you think that you're not doing something right.
She's pumping.
And the fact of the matter is that's not the case. So, I don't know. Again, I don't have no resentment, no hatred, nothing like that. No ill will. I want him to work on himself. I've wanted him to work on himself for a very long time, and it unfortunately has never really happened. So I think too many people in his life have disappointed him in one way or another, and so life therefore has become a disappointment. And here we are at the end of it, not the end of his journey, but I mean really it's just the beginning depending on how you look at it. He wouldn't look at it like that, but there's a lot of things he can do to maybe concentrate on, spending a little bit more time with his immediate family and not isolating in his room. And
I hope for us that we, yes, we have days where we're life was not great today. Work fucking sucked. Kids were crazy. I got terrible acne, or I'm not feeling, whatever. We have days where we're it's not great today. But I really hope for us that we don't develop a mindset of life is a drudge and life is not happy and awesome, and I just feel like there are so many people in the world that are like that are just the daily grind, and life is not happy most of the time, and it's hard, and that's so bummer.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, me and you have been adamant about taking specific steps in our careers and our personal lives to help kind of overcome those obstacles and give that area, because that's a priority for us. We want flexibility. We want time with our family.
A and A.
A and A. A and B. And C, we're working very hard to build careers or build businesses that cater to how we want to live our lifestyle. You know, I don't want to be away from my kids all the time while they're growing up. You don't either. I don't want to be stuck in an office while my kids are at home wondering where dad is.
Yeah.
You know, and that's why me and you are very motivated to, you know, get there. My parents, I think my dad just always shorted himself. He's a very bright man, very intelligent, but he always just thought he wasn't worth shit and he could never do anything. He failed on one business and he never tried it again. I mean, that was it. He failed. I'm done. I can't do this, you know. But from what I've realized is the failure is where you learn, and that's the most important part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, the failure is everything. If you're not failing, you're not trying, you know. So I don't know.
I feel like maybe I'm just different, but like I feel like people need to look at life as like, A, you only get one, like, here on Earth.
Yeah.
No matter what your beliefs are for reincarnation, afterlife, whatever, you only get one go-around in this current body, mind, etc. So, I feel like people should view life as like a fucking game. Like, what can I get out of this? And how can I play this and be like a fucking rock star at it? And how can I have fun? Because I only get one go.
Right.
So why would I sit here and be miserable in it? Why would I not change my circumstances? Why would I not seek happiness and joy and fun and good memories? And
and for a lot of people, it's environmental. I mean, you grow up in these. I mean, our upbringings were difficult, but they weren't difficult. Like, they weren't bad. I mean, psychologically, emotional abuse, yes, but from like a poverty standpoint or going without or anything like that, like, we were raised in decent middle class households. Not everybody has that, and a lot of people come from a lot less, and so it's hard to break that cycle of having that mindset. People do it all the time. There's people out there that come from the streets and they build themselves up and they're rock stars or whatever the case may be. But it's just hard. It's hard for everybody, and everybody, you know, it's hard for everybody to adapt the same mindset because not everybody starts off in the same place.
yeah. Let me pause for a minute. All right, we're back. But I do feel like if you viewed life as, this is my one chance to collect as many memories as possible, people would view it differently. If they realized, this is my only chance, let me get all the memories I can. Let me make all these moments that are meaningful.
Yeah.
And not just trudge through day to day.
And I think people really try to adapt that mindset, and you go a couple days adapting that mindset and telling yourself these positive things and these words of encouragement or phrases of encouragement, and you put the stickers on your mirror so it tells you you're awesome, or you tell yourself, you stare at yourself in the mirror for 5 minutes and tell yourself you're fantastic, you're a killer, you got it, you're awesome, and you're doing so well, and that only lasts for so long, and then we get sidetracked and things happen, and kids and jobs, and it's almost like life is designed to be one big distraction from the overall goal, which is happiness, finding the happiness within life. Everything is constantly working against you to keep you from focusing.
It's like a game, right?
To keep you from focusing on the most important things in your life. All these distractions, like, look over here, look over here, look over here. Don't look at that, look over here. I got you here, I got you here. And it's exhausting. Social medias and TVs and, all this shit they put out there. And we don't focus on the stuff that means the most, which is our families, ourselves, our religion,
Well, it's like, Enzo's a big video gamer. I think of it as like, we are in a timed race, and we have all these distractions that are keeping us from getting to, the different accomplishments and trophies of life. Like, that's pretty much what it is, and that's why I say, like, view life like a game and realize that you don't have to be stuck in this drudgery all the time.
been a quote, a very important person in our lives, and he nailed that head, or hit the head right on the nail, or whatever that saying is. But and life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. That's Forrest Gump.
So true.
I don't know. It's all we can do is concentrate on us and our families and try and, we're always going to run into issues. We're always going to have stressors. We're always going to have anxieties. But I think the difference is we can, decide, hey, identify those stressors and what's triggering those stressors and those anxieties, and choose to dwell on them, or if you just want to move past them, and again, at the end of the day, the jobs that stuff's important, and you need a job to have an income to provide for your family, but you know what? It's not everything. The moments where you're sitting in Costco parking lot because the lights went out and you're breastfeeding your baby, that's what recording a podcast is, where it's all at, so.
Right, but it's fun.
But.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate it.
And have a good week, and we look forward to talking to you next week. Maybe we'll talk a little bit next week about Enzo and his therapies and stuff like that, and what we're learning and what we're seeing from him. But we appreciate you tuning in, and look for us on the social platforms. Don't let it be a distraction, though, because we don't want you to distract from what's important.
Have a good one.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. You can check us out at
freezermilk.com
or Instagram.
Freezer Milk Podcast.
Until next week, guys. Thanks.
Don't forget, parenting is a trip. We are all here on the journey with you together. Thanks so much for listening.